Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for your presence here. We are very sorry for that 15 minutes of time slip, but because of the weather, we know how is with the transportation in our city, so we will get that a little more time for the people who join us in the last 15 minutes. So please, you can all join us right now and take your places. We have many free spaces here. Yeah, don't be shy. We all know each other here, mostly. So my name is Filip Pawczyński. I'm the co-founder of Degen.House, and I have experience on blockchain and cryptocurrency market in general. But I am right now here, will be your host for today's evening and for all other our events since next 6 months. So I hope that this evening will be nicer than weather, and I will try to keep all your attention on the topics that we have today because they are very potent. So why Degen? What's Degen? Degen, like a decentralized generation, it's something that we already, most of us already know and even see. It's very potent and very deep. So who's a Degen? Yeah, I know it's a lot of words, but it's also very complicated. We will show you why. So the person enthusiastic about the innovation with a deep conviction that modern technologies can foster positive global transformation. A Degen, it's a rebel against the ineffective structures and system aiming to transform them. And this is the easy part. Because we are also the builders, instantly looking for the ways to craft unique ventures using cutting-edge technologies. Degen believes in decentralized internet future, where traditional models of data and resource control are replaced by the distributed system. So Degen, it's a hacker in the internet of money. Because like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, nobody wanted to be a hacker. Right now, everybody is a hacker because we're hacking the life. So most of us are also Degens in some way. So what's Degen.House? This is house for Degens, for us. If you are still don't know if you're a Degen, you will know after all our events, especially because we dedicated that events not only for us, but especially for you. So we are a fast-growing community of builders, developers, and entrepreneurs, nobly experienced in fields of digital assets, blockchain, hacking, AI, machine learning, and ICT in general. We are crafting the Degen culture, utilizing a youth technology cultural revolution. So, and why we are here? Because the Degen Meetups will be the series of the events, focused on educating builders about digital assets, blockchain, and AI solutions. We are combining inspiring lectures, hackathons, and lifestyle opportunities to create true revolutionary culture movement. This is how the greatest communities were built, based on the culture. So this is a little agenda for today. We will have 4 workshops, 4 amazing speakers, not 4 different topics, but we mix them like we can. So, of course, we will also have the break for some networking. And later, after summary, we will have more networking. And of course, we will also invite you all to the after party. So, this will be the opening speech for the Degen Meetups. And right now, I want to. Oh, yeah. For me, sticker is not working. Sorry about that. So, and right now I want to ask to the stage Mr. Mateusz Rafał from the GovTech initiative. Please, applause. Who is also one of the partner of us to helping us to craft that culture between all the needs. Thank you very much for yourself.
Thanks a lot, Philip. Dear Degen community, I'd like to thank you very much for the invitation. That's a great event, and I'm absolutely enjoyed that I can be here. I'm not currently from GovTech, but from Ministry of Education and Science, and I'm driving the department which is called Digital Transformation Center. And it's a quite new department because it was set in the beginning of 2021, sorry. And our goal is to cover all those important digital goals and challenges which nowadays schools and universities got. And one of the most important factors that I would like to say today is topic of AI in education system, because like many of you probably know, there are a lot of rumors, a lot of gossips, and a lot of misinformation, disinformations in the part of AI in educational system, because like from the beginning of nowhere, next day when one of the most popular tools was announced on the beginning of this year, we have met absolutely new world, and one of the most important challenges was to start thinking about the education from the absolutely new perspective, because none lessons will be the same again. So it's obviously the reflection about what is the goal of education today. And it's really interesting times, because we are on the verge of the revolution, because we already know that world is changing, and sometimes we've got our schools set in yesterday, but for example, the most important goal of our department is to bring modern and bring tomorrow to our schools. One of the first and most important factors which was done for covering those gaps, technological gaps, is the program of Future Labs. Maybe somebody heard about it, but if not, I'm really glad to mention that. I don't know if you know, in each primary school in Poland right now, you've got the 3D printers, but not only 3D printers, also VR goggles, microcontrollers, and many other stuff, because each primary school was supplied for money, and with those funds they were obliged to buy some modern devices. And thanks for that, in each primary school you've got the 3D printers, and this is kind of symbol, because you know it's it's only country in those, and not only those, part of Europe with infrastructure program like this. The second step was to provide trainings, and according to that, we've got the Mobile Future Labs program, which means that in each voivodeship we've got the crew of the educators, which are helping day after day with using those tools I mentioned before, for schools, for students, and they are visiting about 200 schools monthly. But as you probably know, there is not only the point of providing some stuff like the modern devices, computers, tablets, microcontrollers to school, but it's about the changing mindset of usage. And one of the things that we have seen is that devices are bringing the new perspective and bringing the new behaviors and bringing some new possibilities. But of course, this is not only from the perspective of user. One of the most important factors is to change the curricula, change the paradigm of modern school, because it's obvious that old paradigms, old curriculums are not correct to the modern times, modern solutions, modern devices. According to that, we are finishing the policy of digitalization of education, which is a complex document which changes the role of education in Poland, and it's gaining a new energy of usage, the devices, and there are a lot of changes of curricula, not only the school curricula, but universities as well, in trainings of teachers. But, and this is a strategical point of combining our efforts in one point, but it's obvious that we are forced to do immediate things when world is changing immediately. So, when ChatGPT was released, our team in Institute of Educational Researches, my department as well, and our partners from technological companies set the working group under plenipotentiary of Ministry of Education and Science, which is dedicated only to the AI topics in educational system. And you can see the first fruits of work of this group on the education.gov website, which is, and there you can find the first guidance, first Polish official guidance of usage of ChatGPT in schools. So what are the threats, what are the chances, what are the signs that some homework could be made with a little bit help of AI. And of course, it's not only and totally complex material, but some kind of it is kind of a beginning, kind of a starter to this subject. This group is working on other materials right now. So our goal is to provide help and provide support for the teachers, for the students, with usage of the modern tools like ChatGPT and many other tools which are based on AI for the educational purpose. And it's a good point to have a reflection, because there are a lot of threats how our schools will be looked like today. And the answer is very easy. They will be more and more focused on present activities. So from the perspective of teacher, from the perspective of student as well, there are a way more important factors when you are interacting with teacher during the lessons, when you are interacting with other students during the classes, than, for example, time which is spent on doing homeworks previously. So for the question of how school will be looked like with tools which are based on AI technology, one of the simplest answer is that this school will not have any more homeworks, because it become pointless to set some homeworks, and modern school will be way more about cooperation and interacting with other peoples, and with good and effective sparing the time we've got during the lessons. And okay, so I think that's enough. So thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Shapaz. So yeah, the education of the youth, it's like one of the crucial things, and we are also thinking about that, in which way we will be able to cooperate with the youngest generation. What kind of incentive, more than only education, they want and they will get in the future. So right now we will have first workshop, and the first workshop will be run by Mr. Asaf Naim from Kirobo, so the CEO of Kirobo, where we have our first speaker. Okay, he's coming. So let's take the warm applause for Mr. Asaf Naim, the CEO of Kirobo.
Hi guys. Wow, this is a lot of people. How many of you are a developer? Web3 developer, please raise your hand. How many of you Web2 developer? How many of you traders? Traders, okay. Okay, so this presentation is going to be a little bit deeper than what you guys used to. If you don't know anything, so start learning. And if you do, you will enjoy that a lot. By the way, if you don't know anything, also you like that a lot. Okay, so we are Kirobo. I'm Asaf, the CEO of Kirobo. And in 2022, guys, if someone don't want to listen, that's fine. Please use the back area. It's a little bit noisy. Okay, so in 2022, we have almost 5 million smart contracts that has been created. Each smart contract costs a lot of money and a lot of time. We estimate one smart contract as $250,000. Now, who here know anything about Rocket Pool? Anyone? Who know Aave? Let's say that I want to create smart contract that connect these two. How much time do you think it will take me? You said you are a Web3 developer. How much time? Building a smart contract that connect between them, audit, build the UI, and so forth and so on. Let's say good one. 2 months, 3 months. He's right. By the way, when I ask my CTO how much time it will take, he will always say 2-3 months. Actually, it's about 6 because the audit is not available. You need to change and you need to modify. I will show you here in the workshop that we can build it in less than 20 minutes. Less than 20 minutes, we can build smart contract that connect between these two smart contracts. And we can deploy it on the mainnet. What we did, we actually, and again, I'm jumping to the product in 2 seconds. What we did, we actually created a high-level language that create smart transaction. So instead of building smart contract, we build in smart transaction. Think of any logic that you want. You simply deploy the logic to the blockchain in the transaction level, and everyone can build his own. Okay. A lot of you didn't raise a hand, so I know it's the first time that you see this kind of stuff, but you get to learn a lot. On the right side, you see my connected wallet. This is my MetaMask. Obviously, it's testnet. If I have this amount of money, probably someone else will send to speak here. So this is testnet. This is my connected wallet. On the left side, you see an on-chain wallet. On-chain wallet, that means a smart contract that functions as a wallet, but it doesn't have a seed. The only way to access this wallet is by the connected wallet. We need this wallet because this wallet allows us to create a smart transaction. By the way, you can use any on-chain wallet like Gnosis and Argent. We are working on that. Now, let's say that I want to create transaction to 4 different people, and I want to send them different token, different amount. How many transactions I should create? 4. How much time it will take? Few minutes, right? And let's say that I want to send salaries. I want to send to 5 or 4 or 10 or 20 different people the same amount every month, different amounts, obviously, maybe different token, right? So let's see how we can create that. This is the visual builder to build the smart transaction. If you are a developer, you have an SDK, you don't have to use that. You will see immediately why you want to use that, but you don't have to use that. So on the left side, you see the flow control, the mass, the validation, everything that you can add to the protocol. And also you can see the asset that these protocols support and the protocol. Now we only have 3 protocols that we support, but I will show you how you can add any protocol in less than 2 seconds. So let's say that I want to send to 4 different people. So let's say that I want to send token. I will simply hover here and drag the token and simply connect that. Now what I need to do is to choose the token that I want. I can import token or can choose the token, choose the amount, and to the address that I want to send and the address that I want to send to. Let's say this is the address just for this example. So this is one transaction, but I want to send to more people. So I simply going to drag this again. And this time, I'm going to connect on success, meaning on success, continue and send this. This time, I want to send, let's say, USDC, and the amount will be like this, and also from this wallet, and this time, let's say, the same wallet. So this is how I'm going to do that, right? I'm not going to do all 4 because I already prepared that. So this is the 4 that I want to send. Now, when I send that, I can decide on the period that I want to do. Let's say that I want it to run in the next let's say next year, and I want it to repeat himself every 30 days, and let's say it will do 12 times. Now, when I sign this transaction, I know exactly what I sign on. So I see what is the repetition amount, what is the chill time, what call number 1 do, what call number 2 do. So everything that I do in here, I see in the signature. But this is very simple. This is only sending transaction, right? If you're a trader, you want to do much more than that, right? Let's say that you have $1 million USDC. What is your bigger fear? Who knows? Exactly. DPEG. DPEG. The USDC is basically a stable coin that is DPEG to the dollar. So what you can do, let's create that in very, very simple method. What I can do, I can go to Chainlink, add stablecoin, and then I want to check USDC to USD. Now, I can add validation. I can say if the amount is less than 0.95, for example, so this is the validation that I did. Now what I want to do, I can check my balance of how many USDC I have, and then I can swap everything on Uniswap. So I take this balance, and I want to replace it with ETH. So this is how I can protect myself against the peg to the dollar. Now, guys, you need to understand, there is company that have like 5, 10, $20 million in USDT, or USDC. Some of them provide liquidity, and they are not sleeping at night. All the time they are checking the price, they are checking if it's depegging. So this is something that you can create in less than, you see how much time it will take me? 20 seconds, right? 20 minutes, maybe 2 minutes. But then you can add more things. So if you provide liquidity, you can say that if this happened, if these two happen, then you want to extract the liquidity. Then you want to do that. Now, guys, we started in 2018. In 2018, we built an inheritance solution. So if someone died, God forbid, the family received the money. It took us 4 months and $250,000. I only understand what this system is when I recreated myself. The same logic. The same logic of the inheritance that we build, we created in less than 5 minutes, right? Let's say that I have 2 children and I want to divide the money equally, so I simply check my balance, let's say in 5 years, with God's help, maybe 8 years. So I want to check my balance, divided by 2, and then send to 2 different addresses. So this is 5 minutes. Now, you remember that you said that it's going to take a few months, right, to connect Rocket Pool and Aave, right? So this is the connection between Rocket Pool and Aave. This is how we created in less than, I don't know, it took us 10, 12 minutes to build. Something that he, a Web3 developer, mentioned that it should take a few months. Now, let me ask you a question. Let me show you how difficult it is, and then let me ask you a question. In the first cube, I deposit on Rocket Pool, then I approve the token, then I check my balance, then I supply again, then I took loan, then I deposit, and then I do it all over again. Now, I'm sure that all of you can do it in 2 seconds, right? Every one of you can do that in 2 seconds, right? How many people do you think can actually build this by themselves, even if they are not a developer? Exactly. Maybe 5,000 people, maybe more. But this is the amount, right? So if this is the business model, we are going out of business very, very soon, right? So what we did, we actually allow anyone to create a form out of this. And you can see that this entire big mass become one simple form. Obviously, you can change the subtitle, you can change the text, but basically a trader here can do it if you understand what does it mean. For example, this is the amount of Ether that I want to deposit. This is the loan that I want to take. That's it, so you explain to him. So what we are doing is allowing anyone to build that, add his own address, and then it's going to be on the marketplace for other traders to come and actually uses what you build. So this is how they see the specific app. Here you can see that there is a trader and developer, because if you are a developer, this is very nice, but you want to build something for your client, not for our client, right? So you can use this and take the code. How you take the code? It's very, very simple. let's say that we build that. So you simply click here and get the SDK code. We also build a starter kit that you can download. You can change the logo. Here you can connect with your wallet, see all your assets and see everything. You simply put this SDK code and you have a working app in less than 20 minutes. Obviously, it's not going to look nice. You need to design that. You need to work on that maybe another 2 or 3 days, but you have a working app in less than a few days. The last thing that I want to show you, let's say that you build it and you want to deploy it on the marketplace. So all you need to do is simply grab all of that, click here, and then you said USDC and how much depegging and what is the token that you want to switch to. That's it. If you come here, you simply see a form that is very understandable. This is the USDC, this is the depegging, and this is the token that you want to switch to. That's it, guys. If you have any question, please.
Yes, how regularly it will check for depegging?
The question is how regular is the check of the depegging. So it's check basically every block. The cost doesn't cost you anything at last. It's run. The check is like off-chain. So only when it's run, it's check. I will not use Chainlink because Chainlink is update every 24 hours. I will use other oracles, but this is something that you can do. That's it? Okay, guys, so last thing, we are onboarding 500 developers and traders that want to use and contribute to the system, to the marketplace. If you want to do that, please scan this QR code, fill up the details. We will send you an NFT that will allow you access to the system. And that's it. You can start working on that. The system is on Ethereum and Arbitrum. Soon it's going to be on Binance Chain, and we will support Gnosis if you guys working with Gnosis, so you don't need to use our on-chain wallet. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Asaf, for that very nice workshop. Who like the workshops? They are better than a simple presentation, yeah? Of course, we will also try to create more engaging workshops, but it's not very easy, especially in that kind of manner. But of course, we will work better, and with the next events, we will also try to create a little bit more interesting part. So, the second workshop will be also very interesting because it's something new, but it's based on the basic needs of blockchain, and in general, the people who are developing the product, they was working on some best option to provide the private blockchains and the KSE implementation that we are able to see right now, for example, in Estonia. So it's my pleasure to get on the stage Mr. Mike Gault, the CEO of Guardtime, and the core contributor of Alphabill. And his topic will be Alphabill, the radical new design of blockchain technology. So please help me to get Mike here with the applause.
Is there a button I press?
Hello.
Is that? Oh, it's right. Hello. So my name is Mike Gault. I am the CEO of an Estonian company called Guardtime, Estonia. And if some jackass came to a meetup and said they could deliver a blockchain on these properties, you would say, absolutely no way. This cannot be done.
Mike, I'm sorry for a minute. Ladies and gentlemen on the back, we have a little problem because you are very loud right now. Can you tell the people around to be a little bit more quiet, because Mike have a very nice topic. We will have after his workshop we will have the time for talks. So I think will be very nice that we will get that time for the mic, because like I mentioned, topic it's very, very interesting.
Thank you. So yeah, I think these are the goals that we set out. And if you're familiar with blockchain technology, you would probably say this is impossible. If you're familiar with Ethereum, you might say something like the blockchain trilemma, which says you cannot achieve all these things simultaneously. Well, I'm here to tell you first that the blockchain trilemma is bullshit. It's just some ideas that Vitalik put on a blog post to try and describe the trade-offs. But they're not true. At least they're not science. And here's the second thing I want to talk about. The first part of this talk is going to be about technology. Over the next 10 minutes, I'm going to try and convince you that it is indeed possible to achieve those goals. And the second part is I'm going to show you actual real-world use cases where blockchain is deployed. I know there's some people here from government. In Guardtime, we helped design Digital Estonia. If you're familiar with X-Road and the blockchain that's used in Estonia, I'm going to show you some actual real-world use cases that are not a joke. And you know, this is the challenge. The problem is in enterprise and government is that the conversation has been hijacked by companies like IBM that sell this garbage called Hyperledger, where every government department or every enterprise runs a consensus node and they get together and have governance committee meetings. And it's all just a total disaster. It's failing universally across the world. So what is the alternative? I'm going to introduce you this concept called decomposition theory. And the idea is that you can decompose a blockchain at production and at verification. So in production, you can just add more and more machines. So the system scales linearly with throughput. And even more importantly is the output. If you're familiar with Bitcoin, you can download the blockchain and you can run through it transaction by transaction to verify that your transaction is correct. But as the system scales, if you go to 1 million transactions, you'd need about an exabyte of information to verify one transaction. And so the goal of decomposition is like physical cash. When I give you a $20 note, you don't go around and verify every other note in the economy. You just verify that one note. And so we're trying to replicate that. And then decomposability means that you can have portable tokens. So these tokens can move around the internet and they can be verified and acted upon without the complexity of PKI and certificate authorities. So let's have a quick history lesson. Satoshi started off with UTXOs. Originally came, I believe, from Hal Finney in his reusable proof of work. In 2016, Vitalik came up with accounts, and since then, those are your two choices. But let me ask you a question. Is it possible that there are other monetary units that no one has thought of before that could be used to build blockchains? So here's the problem. Whether it's accounts or UTXOs, every transaction by definition involves two units. In accounts you have the payer and the payee. And if you want to have decomposition, if those units are on different machines, then the machines need to talk to each other. And that is the bottleneck. Bills, on the other hand, when I have a single unit, right? There's not two, when I give you a $20 note, there's no coordination needed. There's no communication needed. For a bill, the only thing that happens is a change in ownership. Value doesn't move, ownership changes. And so this is the core idea. If you're familiar with the Ethereum state tree, a state tree is just a data structure used in memory of validators to store the state of assets. In Ethereum, I don't know what this does. In Ethereum, you have the leaves of the tree or accounts, and each account has a balance. So when you do a transaction, value moves from one account to another. Go back. In Alphabill, which is this new protocol that I'm introducing today, the leaves of the tree are tokens, and tokens have owners. So when you do a transaction, the ownership of a token changes. So tokens are first-class citizens in the state tree. They're not variables inside a smart contract. They exist on the state tree, and when you do a transaction, ownership changes. Ultimately, this means that network state execution sharding becomes trivial. What do I mean by that? It means you can split the tree, and the two sides of the tree don't know about each other. So lots of transactions can happen here, transactions can happen here, but you do not have cross communication. This is not the case for accounts. The biggest limitation, people are trying to shard using accounts, but you then end up with cross-shard settlement, and that is the bottleneck. And you can see that in protocols today. So, I'm going to introduce, this is the last heavy technical concept. We're going to introduce you to what's called state tree recursion. So this tree, this is Ethereum. This is Ethereum. So you have a tree, a state tree for block 1, block 2, block 3, and block 4, right? What we're going to do is build a tree recursively so that the state here is cryptographically linked to the previous state for that token, okay? And what that means is these blue hash values, these blue nodes, they represent the state hashes for an individual token. And that means if I have these blue dots and I have these yellow dots, I can take the token out of the chain and I can use it in the real world. I can use it for offline payments and all sorts of things. It becomes as close as you can get to physical cash. And so we're not happy with the direction that crypto is going. It's more layers and layers of complexity. Zero knowledge, relay chains, all this complexity. It's all because the foundations are wrong. If you can have a decomposability, then you don't, the concept of running a node is basically saying that for a blockchain, everybody has to run the entire economy in their device. And that cannot scale, obviously. And so with decomposability, we can change that from running a node to verifying the assets, the tokens that you care about. Does it make sense? So we want to go back to the core, to the original idea of electronic cash. But the only change is to make it decomposable. So I can extract and I can use those coins or tokens in the real world. This, by the way, we've been working with the European Central Bank on testing this as a research project for the digital euro. And they tested it. So they had, in that tree, they had 200 shards, 200 subtrees, all operating on bills, digital euros, and they ran it at 2 million transactions a second to 100 million wallets in sub-second settlement time. The point is, scalability means that you can go from 1 million to 10 million to 100 million, and it's the same linear cost of computation. So this is what Alphabill looks like. It is one big hash tree. At the top you have the root chain. This is where consensus happens. The root chain does not see transactions. All it does is check the coherence of the validators below it. You have a governance partition, you have the native currency, you have tokens, and you have contracts. And this can be an EVM, it can be WASM, it can be Hyperledger, whatever you want. But you get the interoperability. You can move state from one, you can move a proof from one state to another using this as a unicity framework. Okay, so I'm going to skip. Are you interested in more tech, or would you like to talk about use cases? Tech or use cases? Tech? Okay, good. I'll be quick. I've got 18 minutes. So the idea is that you sign up as a validator. And what's really critical is for genuine decentralization, you must be able to do this on a laptop. If you require specialized hardware, then it becomes censorship resistant or censorable. So you sign up as a validator in the governance partition. That's where the on-chain governance happens. Then you get allocated either to the root chain or to one of these partitions, and you perform your work. And you get staking rewards and you get fees from transactions. I'll talk quickly about the consensus protocol. The problem that you see with these sharded blockchains is that you have shards, but then the security is weakened, right? Because if it's based on stake, you can have an attacker come in and take what's called shard takeover. So the challenge with these type of approaches is how do you maintain security? So the goal of Alphabill is to eliminate everything so that the only thing a validator can do is break liveness. Okay? And this is how it works. Again, these guys do not see transactions. There is a single consensus instance, a single consensus protocol running across the entire network. So a transaction comes in. Actually, so here's the root chain, and we'll just show three validators here, 3 validators here. A client comes in, they send their transaction, it gets to a leader. The leader then broadcasts those transactions to all the validators here. They do not come to consensus. Independently, each validator builds their state tree, and they send that to all the validators in the root chain. So these validators check that these guys agree. And that can be majority or it can be unanimous or whatever. But then the root chain broadcasts this to the validators in the root chain, and they come to consensus. Once they've achieved consensus, they send what's called a unicity certificate back to all the validators in the shard independently. And in such a way, it means that these validators here are dumb worker machines. They cannot, if they're malicious, the only thing they can affect is liveness. And that allows us to add thousands or tens of thousands of shards to the system, but maintaining security. Okay, computational model, smart contracts. This is how it works. I have some tokens here, and I want to use them in a smart contract here. Again, this is subtrees, right? So we have an EVM shard here, we have an EVM shard here. What I'll do is I'll lock the token. I'll send a transaction order saying, transfer the ownership of this token to the smart contract address. I'll get back a proof that that has been done, and then I'll send those tokens to the smart contract. Not the tokens, but the proof of transfer. And the validators here, they can verify that state because they're both part of the same state tree. So a Merkle proof here can be verified here. They execute the smart contract, and you can have many shards and many EVM contracts. The only limitation is that one computer can handle one EVM contract. And so state is passed around, proofs are passed back. When the contract finishes, I will take that proof. I will take that proof and I will go to this token shard, and if I'm the new owner of that token, I will claim ownership of the token. So in this way, you can go to millions, tens of millions of transactions a second, but the system never gets congested. Fees are constant. You just add more and more computational power. Make sense? So let's talk about use cases. You know, I've been working in blockchain since the early 2000s. We founded Guardtime in Estonia as a cybersecurity solution for the Estonian government. And what we've learned is if you want to build a blockchain application and sell it to an enterprise or government, if you mention the word blockchain, you've already lost. You will fail. You'll go to some corporate innovation department and your project will go nowhere. What you have to do is build an application and sell that as software, not as a blockchain. Nobody cares. And we have 10 years of scar tissue learning how to sell blockchain to enterprise. We have suffered. And the answer is build applications. Blockchain should be deep underground. It's infrastructure, and in this case, it's infrastructure for creating tokens. And I want to introduce, probably the first time you've ever heard this expression called public token infrastructure. Are you familiar with PKI, public key infrastructure? Digital signatures. I don't think Poland has seen much adoption of digital signatures. In Estonia is the only country in the world where digital signatures are used by a majority of the population on a daily basis. And so our view, what is Web3? Web3 is a tokenized internet where you're tokenizing data. And that data becomes verifiable, and it can move across the internet and be verified without a trusted authority. And this is an example here, a real live example of the European Space Agency. They tokenize data on a satellite. And that data and the token follows through a life cycle. It goes into ERP systems. It goes across the internet until it ends up in a mobile device, and someone can verify the provenance and integrity and time of that data using the token without having to rely on a certificate authority or key management. The concept of an information supply chain does not exist on the internet today. The percentage of data that is verifiable is 0. and Estonia. I'll talk very quickly about government applications. Estonia has the lowest state IT budget in Europe on a per capita basis, a fraction of what other economies spend. And this is the model they have. It's called X-Road, where all the government databases are connected together. What I want to say is the challenge for every government is the same thing. They all have world-class IT systems. They are not interoperable. And blockchain is simply a tool to make these systems interoperable. In this case, you have pharma. And this is a real example where if they create the codes, what's called GS1 codes. Every time they create a GS1 code, they create a token. And that token follows that product through its life cycle. And you have this, you have this interoperability. So, and this patient can verify the authenticity of the medicine using blockchain, using public blockchain, simply by downloading a token and verifying it. They don't need to run a full node on their laptop because you have this decomposability. Each token is independent and verifiable. And that is how you can build real applications for traceability of physical or digital assets. So let's talk about tokenized settlement. If you look at all these blockchain implementations, they're all based on accounts. But token-based settlement is a different model. Every settlement today is based on messaging, right? I send a message and we reconcile later. If you have token-based settlement, then settlement is instantaneous without the message. Payment equals settlement. So that's a very quick intro to Alphabill. I'm going to tell you what we're doing over the next 6 months. We are still early. Whoops. We are still early. We're building this tech. You won't read about us much. If you would like to contribute, we need a lot of help. The next version of the testnet will come out at the end of August, and it will have the EVM in a shard that allows you to build contracts. And over the next 6 to 9 months, we will continue to develop this until we have a mainnet at some point next year. Thank you.
You mentioned that each token has an owner, so I can imagine a situation where an owner has tokens in different shards. So how do you deal with fragmentation when you want to know what is the balance of a user?
Yeah, so from a wallet perspective, they see a balance. Yeah, so you can download, you can verify each token independently, and you can do it in parallel. Because each token has a unique identifier, which is its location in the state tree.
So each user has to know a list of their tokens?
Yes.
And if they lost it?
If they lost it, well, there's all sorts of account abstraction things you can do with smart contracts to help that user. The average user doesn't know about tokens. All they see is a balance, which is the sum of those tokens in their wallet. You can download the wallet and you'll see it.
Thank you. And also, you mentioned that each shard will send a transaction to a verification node, I believe it's called? Validator, yeah. And it's broadcasting, so how can it be linearly scalable?
So each shard has a limit, right? Let's say it's 1,000 transactions a second, or it's a number of tokens, or whatever, right? When it hits that limit, the tree splits. And then you have shard 1 and shard 2. And so let's say then you can have 2,000 And then let's say that continues to increase in volume, then it splits again. So that's why you can have linear scale.
But does every shard communicate with every validator?
So there's a set of validators in each shard. Yeah. Is that a question? Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you very much, Mike. So yes, like I mentioned, topic was very interesting, and this is only a beginning. So this was the first two workshops was the part about the blockchain mostly, and now after the 40 minutes of break, we will go through the AI part of our Degen Meetup this time. So see you in 40 minutes. And I hope that you will have the great break. We have some food there and some soft drinks also. Take your time for some networking. We have very many interesting people here, our partners from Poland and of course from abroad. Please feel free to ask the question to all of us, also me, and see you soon. So, ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? I know that the networking is one of the best parts of every event, but we will still have a lot of time for that. And right now we will go to the second part, and I know that many of us was waiting for it. So, maybe a little bit more louder. I don't know. It's working. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, fellow hackers, degens, entrepreneurs, educators, friends, future and current, I really want to ask all of you to join us here for the next block and the next two workshops, because we are only started. Okay, so if you don't want to join us, you need to be a little bit more quiet because you're a part of that event. So we are counting on you. Okay, so our next guest will be Miss Agnieszka Niezgoda. And this is something that we was waiting for, because she will tell us a little bit more about the EA on Azure, the good and the bad and the ugly. And Agnieszka works for Microsoft. She is a cloud architect and a manager specializing in AI, data analysis, and big data. So a lot of data, because we are living in the world of data and communications. So once again, I want to ask all of you to be a little bit more quiet or join us here. Of course, you are good, you are able to see us also there. And please have a warm applause for Ms. Agnieszka.
Hi everyone, great to be here with you. I hope the microphone is working now and you can hear me very well. So let me tell you a few words about how you can leverage Azure AI on Azure, on your IT projects. Sorry, it's really a bit loud, and my voice is quite quiet, so I'm afraid that I won't be heard. Thanks a lot. So once again, great to be here, and thanks for the invite. And let me tell you a bit about AI on Azure and how you can leverage the technology on your projects. But let us maybe do it like this. So I think we are all, in the meantime, AI experts, and I see that you are a very active, a very proactive crowd. So if you have any questions in the meantime, as I'm presenting, please just raise your hand or just shout your question, and we will have a discussion instead of just a boring presentation, if that's okay with you. Anyway, so let me start. I will not be talking about AI generally, how cool it is, because if you are here, then probably you know about it. You know that plenty of companies are interested in using AI, and plenty of companies also decided to invest huge amounts of money into that. I also want to be talking about how engaged Microsoft is when it comes to the whole area of AI, because if you read newspapers, you also know that. And I won't be telling you about our cooperations with other companies. Of course, Microsoft cooperates with OpenAI, You know about it, but also with Hugging Face, with Meta. Actually, just last week, it was announced that Llama 2 was to become available on Azure, and it's already the case. So you can use plenty of different open source models on Azure. And also, we are cooperating, of course, with other companies like NVIDIA. Instead, I would like to tell you a few words about the whole ecosystem. The tool that has been receiving most attention in the last months is, of course, Azure OpenAI, LLMs, generative AI. This is our star currently. Everybody is interested in that, and everybody would like to do AI. However, the whole ecosystem is much bigger than that, of course. So it ranges from copilots. Copilots are Microsoft products which have AI incorporated in them, and there are plenty of them. Actually, in this slide, we just have 3 portraits. However, there are like 30 and more. So you can leverage the potential of generative AI already in ready-made products like Microsoft 365, like PowerPoint, like Power BI, of course. Apart from that, you can use AI in our low-code solutions. So you can use it in Power Apps, you can use it in Power Automate, in Power Virtual Agents. And then if we are going down the slides, there is also a set of these tools which have been there for a while. So cognitive services and related, like bot service, cognitive search, they have been used by plenty of companies for years now, and they are very good, for example, when it comes to understanding PDFs, so understanding forms, including written texts. They are also very good when it comes to identifying objects, identifying persons in videos, in recordings, in images, etc. So these tools have been used, as I say, for years, and they will continue to be used. Now, even if or because of the huge hype that we have for Azure OpenAI. But of course, the star now is Azure OpenAI, which offers you 4 main capabilities, which you now see in the slide. The first one is linked to generally text generation or text analysis. So you can ask the model to create a marketing slogan or marketing materials for you. You can ask it to write emails for you, to translate something for you, or but also you can leverage it in order to identify sentiments, to classify texts, which is an important use case in some situations. It makes this tasks very easy. You can also build your chatbot, and I will show you in a second how super easy it is in actually an hour or 2 because of the code that we provide you with and which you can adjust to your needs. The second aspect, the second use case is chat completions, meaning that you can assign the model a specific persona, a specific role, and then you can converse with it. And this is also widely used because by doing this you can specify, for example, which tone you are expecting. So, for example, if you want the model to play a role of a helpful assistant, or if you wanted to play a role of your best friend and talk to you in a very casual way. So if you have a great idea for a chat that leverages language capabilities, these 2 first skills, these 2 capabilities listed in the slide will be important for you. But then there is also codecs, of course, which you may want to leverage in order to create code in an automated way, in order to correct your code, in order to add comments to your code automatically to spare some time. And DALL-E, you all know DALL-E. DALL-E creates images based on descriptions. But what is the difference between OpenAI and Azure OpenAI? We sometimes receive this question, and it's not the case that Azure OpenAI is simply OpenAI on Microsoft's cloud on Azure. Azure OpenAI actually adds a layer of security. It adds a layer of compliance and SLAs, so these enterprise features which you can leverage. And when we think about AI, we probably think about the cool use cases. But there is, of course, also this second, less sexy aspect of AI, which is governance, security, data privacy, etc. And at the first sight, this might not seem very important, very attractive to deal with. However, if you think about it, this can make or break your project, because if your infrastructure, if your app is not secured enough, for example, a hacker can collapse what you are working with, or you can suffer a large reputational damage as a result. So these aspects, these enterprise features, the thing that you can leverage airbag, access control, are super important. Everything related to security generally. For example, just 2 days ago, we launched the Azure AI Landing Zone, meaning a set of best practices, how to do your LLM Azure OpenAI projects. And yes, it seems a bit complex. At the same time, you don't have to start from scratch. You have a set of rules, a set of guidelines that you can use in order to create something that will be resistant, that will be reliable. Another not so sexy aspect is responsible AI. Nobody likes talking about ethics in AI and responsible AI. However, when you think about it, it's also super tangible. We had a company, a customer a few days ago who told us we would love to have a chatbot for our customers so that they can inquire about the product when no customer service is available. But we are afraid that we will launch it and then the customers will test it and will try to make it write offensive, impolite things. Then they will screenshot it, they will make memes about it, and we will lose our reputation. Azure makes it very difficult to create such situations because it has this ethics, this responsible AI incorporated in it. However, there are also best practices that you can leverage to even diminish, to even reduce this risk. But of course, the whole ecosystem, yes, please.
How do you implement ethics in your AI if you let off the whole ethical department?
Once again, please.
How do you implement ethical AI if Microsoft laid off the whole ethical department?
I'm afraid I'm not authorized to talk about these topics, but if you wish, I can forward your question to our press department. Okay. But of course, the fact that AI on Azure is so huge, that there are so many tools here, so many elements, means that you can also leverage them, that you can also connect them together to create value. And let me show you a very simple architecture, which, however, is very typical for one of the main use cases for AI. And it's about creating a body of text and then summarizing it, for example, creating a repository of knowledge for an organization. And this is a typical architecture for that. There is one alternative to that, to one element actually there, to Azure Cognitive Search. You can also use embeddings in Azure OpenAI instead of that. But apart from that, it's super standard. At the beginning, you have the form recognizer, or the new name is Azure AI Document Intelligence. Then, after you've read already your texts, your PDFs, during this OCR stage, you create indexes in order to be able to find information that you need easily. And this is what Azure Cognitive Search is responsible for. As a result, you have your text which is transformed in a format that is easily searchable, that can be stored somewhere, and which can be searched very easily and used also to answer questions in bots, for example. Let me skip this one. The good thing about Azure OpenAI is that you can go really fast. These models are available via REST API, of course, but apart from that, there is a front end you can experiment with. So you don't have to work with code from the very beginning. You can leverage the AI Studio, where you can experiment with all the main features. For example, you can select a model, you can ask it to create some text for you or to classify some text for you. You can also experiment with parameters, which you see at the right-hand side. So, for example, you can select how creative the model should be by selecting the appropriate temperature. You can also assign a specific persona to your model, what I said at the beginning, and then ask it questions or ask it to perform specific tasks for you. Here I asked it to recommend me some hiking trips around Warsaw. And the good thing is that you can move very quickly by simply copying the code. And this isn't specific just for Azure OpenAI. It also exists for most of other AI services on Azure. There is ready-made code that you can simply copy into your application, and it works. Another way to move very quickly is to use our GitHub repositories. And there are plenty of them. I will be happy to share them with you. By cloning the repositories and adjusting them to your needs, you are able to implement the solutions, your great ideas very quickly without wasting time for a lot of coding. For example, here I used a repository which originally included some text about health insurance at some imaginary American company. However, of course, I wanted to adjust it to my needs. I'm not interested in health insurance at imaginary companies. So I fed it with my own documents about Azure AI. It took me about 2 hours to create this solution, and it works very well. It was just necessary to replace the texts and to correct some prompts. This is another example. I use another repository in order to create a demo for an HR app. HR app which serves to create job descriptions. So you see that you feed it with some facts about the position that you would like to hire for, and then it creates a job description for you. It's not perfect. Owocowe czwartki weren't mentioned here in the description, but it's still quite good. Of course, every technology has some challenges, and you should consider that when starting to work with it. And one of the challenges, one of these limitations, is the probability, the propensity of these models to hallucinate, to make up things. And different models have different propensity concerning hallucinations. GPT-4, our most advanced model, is quite good when it comes to that. There were a lot of research projects to check that, and the numbers confirm that it's better than other models. However, every AI model does that. Every LLM model does that to some extent. So it's important to be aware of that. There are ways, however, to limit hallucinations, of course, and best practices in order to avoid them. It's similar with the cut-off date. Most of these models aren't totally up to date, meaning if you ask them about what happened yesterday, they want to know that because they were trained on data which had a cut-off date, for example, 2 years ago. That's not true for all the large language models. For example, in Bing, you will find information even about something that happened yesterday. However, for most of them, it is actually true. Also here, there are ways to tackle that. For example, you can feed the model with your own text in the process called fine-tuning. Apart from that, there are also connectors to Bing, so you can leverage that. However, you should also be aware that this limitation exists. And one challenge that I would also like to mention is, of course, the one about the huge progress that the technology has been experiencing. And the fact that it's developing so very quickly is great because new characteristics, new features are being launched every single week. However, it can also provoke a certain fatigue, and if you are working with these models a lot, you can come to the conclusion that it's very difficult to stay up to date with them. And you wouldn't be alone with that. However, there are also ways to stay in touch and to know the newest developments here, of course. And to just give you a few examples, if we take one element from this slide, the one at the bottom, Azure Machine Learning, the last developments include the prompt flow, meaning that you can build visually a whole process, a whole flow of tasks that will be taking place. And currently it's also possible to leverage plenty of, and when I say plenty of, I mean several hundreds of open source models there. And the number of the models is growing constantly, every week. Also, when it comes to Azure OpenAI, a lot is happening. Here you just have 3 examples, but there are much more. So it's good to stay in touch. It's good to leverage the resources that we make available. And if you are interested in that, I will be more than happy to provide you with some tips here. So the overall message here is talk to us. If you are interested in the technology, we will be happy to help. And if you have any questions, please ask them. Thank you.
So thank you very much, Agnieszka. So there is a question? I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay, I will go.
Okay.
I will go with the mic.
Okay. On previous slide, you showed that GPT-4 has much less hallucinations than ChatGPT-4. How is it possible? Isn't it ChatGPT is based on GPT, or why it has different results?
The model is called GPT-4, So it's the same thing.
Okay.
Any more questions?
I have two questions. One is, are there any partner programs for companies which are developing stuff on your platform for their clients? And that's
Yes.
one question. And the other question is, does it differ in terms of deployment than OpenAI? Because there has been numerous reports that the GPT-4 is changed over time. Is it possible to have a stable version of OpenAI models as part of Azure deployment?
Concerning the first question, yes, we have various programs for our partners. And also here, I will be very happy to connect you with my colleagues who are specialists here, who can give you information on that. And concerning the second question, actually, there is versioning of the models now in Azure OpenAI. So you see every time which version of the model you are using, and you can also select when deploying models if you want the model to be updated automatically when a new version appears, or if you want to be responsible for this change yourself. This gives you, the power to decide yourself which way is preferable to you. So it is transparent which models are used.
Cool.
So do we have some more questions? If no, so once again, warm applause for Ms. Agnieszka. So I hope the topic was very interesting, like always, and it will be like always in the Degen Meetups. So, and right now, we will have our last speaker, the last workshops, and this will be something special because in this occasion we want to show you how we mix things. So it will be something where we are able to mix blockchain and AI. And Szymon Paluch will tell us about decentralized AI, so powering machine learning with Golem network. This is the topic. And Szymon is pioneering tech entrepreneur and strategist, co-founder of Diagnostica Digital Hub and ex-CTO of U Pacjenta, CEO UK. So warm applause for Szymon.
Thank you very much. My first question to you guys is, do we have any Degens here? Please, raise your hands. Degens? Come on, guys. I see one. I can say that I'm a Degen, and I think it's a good place for Degens here, because this place, this beautiful place, is with great history, with this great audience, is full of technology today. Technology that is close to my heart, two technologies especially. Breakthrough technologies, which are distributed networks and artificial intelligence. Distributed networks today will be talked with blockchain and Web3, but not from technical perspective, rather ideology and how this ideology could be transferred to the space of artificial intelligence. And we start with the second one. So, first of all, I want to take a closer look to today's AR market. And I separate four groups, four very important groups, which is hardware producers, NVIDIA, Intel, AMD. Those companies are focused on giving us the power, computing power, which is like blood in our veins. Then we have infrastructure providers like Azure. Last presentation was about Azure, but also Amazon, Google Cloud, and other. Those companies giving us also computer powers through servers, but also databases, all the networking stuff. Mega important things in whole AI and also IT industry. Then we have AI research and open source contributors. You know, OpenAI, but also DeepMind, Stability AI, Meta AI, new one, XAI. Companies, organizations, business units, institutions, they are giving us new models, working on machine learning algorithms. Very hard stuff, but I think we are now here because of them. And the last group is AI solutions developers. Those companies are providing us with services and products for clients. They are using machine learning algorithms, they're using models from other companies, and they are bringing AI to the people. Okay, so what insight can we find on this market? I want to share my thoughts. So first of all, this market is strongly centralized. Let's go back. You know, maybe Microsoft will be my first target. Microsoft is everywhere. Microsoft is everywhere in this market. You know, this is Azure. Azure is Microsoft platform, but Microsoft also is strongly connected to hardware producers. Good partnership with NVIDIA, AMD. Also, we have Microsoft connecting with OpenAI and Meta AI. Microsoft has these both companies to work with. Then we have Bing. So Microsoft is everywhere. Also, NVIDIA is everywhere. You know, this market is driven by few companies, the same group of people, the same group of engineers, because engineers are coming through all these companies. And then the second thing, large corporations. Large corporations, big tech is driving this AI growth. I'm not saying it's good or bad right now, but this is my first thought when I see this market. The first thing is that this market is not completely open. As we can see, we have OpenAI with open in the name, but OpenAI no more produces any white papers. Maybe one last paper about GPT-4 last time, but we don't know what they are working on, how the solutions works, what can we expect from them. The companies last time are more closed, are not sharing their knowledge, which is a big shift because at the beginning, a few years ago, there was a lot of white papers, a lot of conferences. We saw that the knowledge was shared. Right now, there is no more sharing the knowledge. Maybe Stability AI is sharing the knowledge, but other companies, other organizations are closing the knowledge from themselves. And there is one final thought about this market, that we have a lot of computer power needed to train models, to make research, to execute models, but a lot of supercomputers are in the hands of these large companies, big tech, and it's hard to access this power, because if you are a small company, if you are private small company or a small institution, of course you can buy your GPUs, you can rent some GPUs, but it is not cheap. It is hard to get enough computer power to create something in big like GPT, for an example. But I will come back to this later in this presentation, because this availability of computing power is one of the biggest things in this market. But the main question is, why all this matters? Why all these insights are important? So to make some change in my presentation, I will talk now about Web3 and decentralization to show you why, in my opinion, this is important, that ideology behind this decentralization can be transferred to AI and can give the AI new power, new powers. Okay. Okay. So I know we're here on Degen Meetup, so probably some of you are similar with these things like decentralization, distribution, Web3. But to be sure that all of you understands what I'm thinking about, I will do a little recap. So first of all, we have centralized system. Centralized systems are systems with one point on the center, which have hold the power over our data, over transactions we make, over who can access the network. This one central point can disconnect us from the network. This one central point can lie about our data, but also this one point can be broken. In example, by power, electricity, by disconnected to network. So this system can be very optimized, can be very efficient, but it also has downsides. Then we can make some decentralization. We can have few points, maybe not so efficient like this first one, but right now, if we have more than 1 point, we can disconnect from the one and connect to the other. We can check if data are the same, if no one is lying, or we cannot be so easily disconnected from the network. Then we can have this third figure with totally distributed systems. It's a special kind of decentralization when there is a lot of points. Every user of the system is the node of the system, so there is no way to lie to us, there is no way to be disconnected. And this is also very important when I'll be talking about the future of AI. There is one path that is strongly connected to these distributed systems. The second thing I want to show you is the idea of the next evolution of the internet, Web3. But if we have Web3, probably we had Web 1 and Web 2. And of course, there was Web 1. 90s was the internet called Web 1, when we have servers, centralized servers with data. Those servers give us data. We're consumers, users were consumers. We can't change the data, we can create things. We only consume data like from TV, like from newspapers. Then comes the Web 2 with all these social media platforms, blog platforms, storing multimedia like YouTube, Spotify. When we as a users became creators, we can now not only read things, we can write things. It was a big revolution for the internet because now the servers became intermediates, became the platforms which exchanges the data between the users. One user was the creator and the rest was the consumers of data. But there was one missing puzzle of this whole system. We can't own the things, like digital own. When we create some kind of data, some kind of digital object, this intermediate was responsible for approving that we are owner. We need the platforms to say who is owning what. Is there one or many copies? We don't have unique objects. We don't have ownership. With Web3, there's an idea of digital ownership, of digital uniqueness, driven by technologies rather than third parties. So with this Web3 idea, the users can own the data, can own the digital objects, can transfer them. It is also connected to digital uniqueness. And now I want to show you when we can transfer these ideas from Web3 world, from decentralized world to AI market. So first of all, I think with this whole decentralization stuff, we can reduce the monopolistic control. Right now, we see benefits of these centralized systems. As I showed you before, centralized systems can be very efficient, and nowadays we have very fast growth on AI. I think it's mostly connected to this centralization, but we will see in few months, maybe few years, the stop in growth, because monopolistic systems most of the times are not efficient in the long run. They become not so efficient. They can become not so efficient in the future, and to not take the risk of this stop in AI growth, I think the reduce in monopolization of the market is very important. Then, right now we don't have enough model transparency. We have some few open models, but a lot of these commercial uses models like GPT are closed. We don't know how they work. We can try to guess how they work, but we don't know. There was a leak in GPT-4 model a few weeks ago, but it was leaked, not official data. And from my opinion, this is also very important thing. So we as a people can be prepared how this model work, can get the knowledge, wants to improve the growth of AI, improve security, improve our data, things about our data, improve what we can expect from this model, how they will work with us. The third thing is efficient resource utilization. I will show you in the next slide how nowadays looks the market if we're talking about the GPU units and the power they're presenting. Because right now most of the computing power uses in AI, using in ML, is under control of this big corporates. And then there is third thing, innovation and collaboration. I still believe that open source idea that collaboration is needed for efficient and fast growth. IT industry show it many times that a lot of open source give the advantages over other industries. So I still believe that also AI landscape should be driven by collaboration and innovation. Also, in the past, there was this way where all the basic knowledge from Google DeepMind was used by OpenAI to create first GPT models, large models. So there was a lot of openness, which drive the innovation past days. Now it stops. Okay, so let's take a closer look to this scale. This smaller ball is the GPT power to train GPT-4 model, about 2 million teraflops. At the same time, last year there was 500 times much in the AI-ready consumer GPU power. So we can say that there is 500 supercomputers on the market, but there is one problem. This power is distributed. This power is not in the one GPT unit. This power is in our homes. This power is in our companies, not in the one central server. But if we can only access this distributed power, it gives us possibilities to make some breakthroughs in the AI industry. So now I want to show you how the life cycle of ML model looks like, and then we can think about where we can connect this distributed power to a specific step of this life cycle to find the best fit. So first of all, we must define the problem we want to solve. Then we need to collect the data. Then we need to pre-process the data and train the model. Then comes the evaluation and the fine-tune. I can say that fine-tune, if you want to separate training from fine-tuning, training the model is like going to primary school when we learn a lot of different stuff, how the world is working. But then, to go to our first job, we need some special training. University gives us the special training. We can gain special skills. It's not so long like in our primary school, but fine-tune is like going to the university. We are learning special skills. Then we need to deploy our model and execute it. Okay, and the last phase is the monitoring and maintaining of the model, and then we can go to redefine our problem, to collect new data, to create second version. So maybe I can ask you, where do you think decentralization can have the best fit in this life cycle? train. I suppose you said this way, but in my opinion, I will say that these three steps have the best chances. And I will go to the training in a moment because it is also an important thing. But right now, we can do some funny things with data collection. We can use open data, blockchain data, like maybe one Polish startup, Cookie Free, is using open data from blockchain and make analysis of the data. We also can use some data from distributed networks. Then we can use techniques like, it's not so popular right now, but federated learning to make, not collect the data from users centralized way, but to try to learn the model distributed way. I will go to this federated learning in a moment. But we can fine-tune the model. Fine-tune the model have the better chances than tuning the model, because right now we have this problem with distributed computational power. Right now, models are large. If we have a very large model like GPT, maybe 4, it's hard to train the data. We have a lot of data, because we have a lot of big data. Transfer them over internet is an issue. Then communicating these separate GPT units to synchronize them is an issue, because if you have a lot of GPUs in one place connected hardwarely, the data transfer is very fast. You can imagine you must transfer 80 giga of data through the internet. It is a problem. It is a very big problem right now. Maybe in the future it's possible, but right now we have too many data to store. But model fine-tuning can be done this way, can be done in a single card or big card, so we can apply distributed fine-tuning. And then there is one thing I think that is, in my opinion, the most optimistic, which is model execution. Just imagine this. If you learn the model, train the model, you need a lot of computing power, but then after the training process, you don't need this power. You can create another model, but for this one model, you don't need this power. To execute the model, you also need computing power, but small part of this power. But then this model will be executed many, many times. So you can use this distributed, in example, distributed computing power to execute models and to auto-scale models in the distributed network. And the question is, if there is any product, any company that can deliver us with distributed computing power to do these things. And there is one, not only one, but today I can show you the Golem. Golem, which is the blockchain as an incentive layer product. Golem uses blockchain to incentive the nodes to share the GPU power, because Golem is also distributed computing power. Golem can be treated as a marketplace for computational power. Hey guys, it's a little bit too loud here. Thank you. Golem can be used as a computational power marketplace where nodes are delivering, competing on price for computational power. And Golem can be also used as decentralized application hosting. So we can take our trained model and execute this model on this network and automatically scale it through this network. So if you want to ask if Golem is making some steps into the AI world, I can say yes, because right now Golem is making a lot of research, a lot of analysis to find the best fit in this whole AI ecosystem. Golem is also making some work, so proof of concept, some MVPs, to check if the technology is working good in the AI stuff. So first of all, every presentation needs a funny cut. So we have a funny cut here. This funny cut was created by Stable Diffusion model, text-to-image model in the centralized network of Golem. So yes, we can execute Stable Diffusion models decentralized way. Then was the second test of distributed PyTorch workload. PyTorch is one of the famous library for ML algorithm execution. And here there was a problem with network latency, with data transferring. So this test was showing us that not all things are possible in distributed way right now. But then we can have the service of rent of GPU. We can rent GPU, start Jupyter, execute some machine learning model decentralized way. And this renting service is working well in Golem distributed network. And there is one thing at the end, which is AI interference API, like Hugging Face, when we can take our trained model, upload it to the Golem network, and then execute it and auto-scale it. So to give you an example, we can have a game dev company. The game they created have NPCs. We want to talk with the NPCs like with the real players. And now we need, if we have not 1, 2, 10, but hundreds or thousands or hundreds of thousands of players, they are talking with hundreds of NPCs using OpenAI API for talking with NPCs will be very, very expensive. But we can reduce this cost with auto-scaling our own models. So then, not only Golem is on the market, because other companies are also working to bring us decentralized GPU access, like iCache, like Render. There is Petals, which is trying to distribute these machine learning operations and do it well. So, you know, people see the chances in this market of distributed AI and working to bring it to the people. So now we have some challenges and limitations. First of all, I think we should talk about data privacy and security. Right now, this is a big issue here in this decentralized AI world because, you know, when you upload your model and it's not open source but it's your private model, someone can steal this model from you. This is also connected to the data, user data. If you have sensitive user data, there is a problem. People are working on solving these issues, but right now we must remember about this. Also, if you are uploading some things to Azure, to Amazon, Amazon and Azure can take your data, but we believe that these big companies have a reputation and don't do that. But if we have distributed nodes, we can't believe anyone. So for now, we must remember, okay, open models are okay, not so secret models also. Data not, must be treated very, very carefully. Then model training. I thought about it before. Large models are now the big problem because distributed way of training large models isn't possible yet. We don't need large models every time. Probably, if we have specific tasks, we can train smaller models, but properly fine-tuning, which give us also great success rate. We can have very specific tasks, and probably in the business, this is more times we need specific smaller models than model like GPT-4, which is general model, so it's very big. But a lot of business needs specific tasks. So training smaller models is also possible right now. Few things about the future. I see the future. Efficient resource utilization is very important, and the work on security, on privacy, on bringing this distributed consumer power to the world, I think it will be done in the near future to train, to execute model by Golem or other companies. Smaller companies need this. Then I think collaborative learning, so we can exchange our knowledge, exchange our research success is also a big part of this whole AI market, and we need to focus on this. Then we have democratization and open models. I think open models like models from Hugging Face, models from open research are also needed for smaller companies, for researchers who want to know how the AI is working, because right now we don't have a fully understanding of how AI models are working. And the last thing, and in my opinion very promising, is the Edge AI. Edge AI is AI which is trained and executed on the user devices. Right now, we can do this. Even Apple have the small chips for AI, but for now, it's not big part. But in the future, maybe we can train our models distributed way on the user devices and not required from users to send the data to the central servers. Then we can train the models on the user devices to create personalized AI models for the users. And I think it's also a big part of the future of AI. So at the end, I show you the Golem. I'm an advisor at Golem and helping them with the product stuff. Golem is working on bringing decentralized computing power to AI, but Golem is also working on other products, DeFi products, Web3 products internally. And Golem is also looking for partnership with smaller companies. If you have idea how to use distributed GPU power, how to use Golem, if you have product that can be connected to this Golem network, we can talk about it because there is opportunity to help you with technology, to help you with product, to help you with finances. Just call me and we can talk and see if we can go together. So thank you for today. If you have questions, we can talk right now because we have 2 minutes, or we can talk off the stage. So if there is any questions? Any questions? No. So guys, thank you for today. My name is Szymon Paluch. If you want to contact me, here's my phone number and email address. And if you're interested in modern technologies, you can find me on Instagram, szymonpaluch.eth, TikTok, and even YouTube. Thank you for tonight, and it was great pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, it was a pleasure to have you here. So, our dear guests, right now, this was our last presentation this time. But of course, it's not the last time that we are able to see each other. And we want to thank all our partners. So, PKO Bank Polski for this beautiful venue and all the cooperation. Kirobo also for one of our partners. Guardtime, MetaTalent, Personit, GovTech Polska, of course Golem, CodeJet, Cashify, Bitcoin.pl, HashApp, Comparik, NFT Polska, and of course Center of Technology, Blockchain, Just Join IT, and many different partners that we will see in our next meetups. So thank you very much for today. Of course, it's not the end. We will have right now the networking. We will stay here till at least 10. And later, after 10, we will have the after party in Lemon. And thanks to our partner Woo, the first 50% who will be there, they will be able to get the free drinks from our partners. So I hope that you will have a great time, great networking, and of course you are able to see us and we will be connecting by the social media, and of course you can see us on our Discord and our Telegram group. So see us, we will show you on the next Degen Meetups in some time, and have a great evening this time. Thank you very much for everybody.